even in Geneva, I have had similar experiences to Judge McKaysey and heard all these silly arguments. Well, let me ask them, how do they know they have no support inside Iran? Has somebody gone there and taken an opinion poll? If you stand up in Iran and say, I support the MEK, you will immediately be arrested, tortured and executed. It's a statutory offence on the constitution of Iran to support the MEK, which carries a mandatory death penalty. How ludicrous for people to make this accusation. And I always reply to them, the Iranian diaspora, who can get together in Paris every year for the annual rally in their tens of thousands, over 100,000 this year, all of them have families in Iran. And if you count all of their supporters and their families in Iran, they must number millions. They, not Mousavi or Karabi, are the real opposition. They are the people who should run Iran, and Mrs. Rajavi should lead them. So when Ahmadinejad went to the United Nations in New York, having orchestrated the release of the 3 American hitchhikers who'd been held for 3 years on the ludicrous spying charge, and of course he always likes this bit of propaganda to show that he really is a very sympathetic, generous president. At the same time, back in Iran, they were hanging a 17-year-old boy who was screaming for his mother and crying for mercy. They hanged him from a crane in a public square. In September, 3 teenagers were hanged. Over 100 people were executed in September. 300 more have now been moved to death row, sentenced to death, their executions imminent. This is the brutality of this medieval mullah-led fascist regime. And this is why it is so important that the MEK has victory over this kind of brutal oppression. And ladies and gentlemen, if Syria and the Assad regime, which the Iranian mullahs tied themselves in knots because one minute they were supporting Assad and his oppressive dictatorship, and the next minute they were welcoming the uprisings in all the other neighboring countries in the Arab Spring, while they were simultaneously sponsoring an uprising in parts of Saudi Arabia. So what you heard this afternoon about the world ignoring the uprising inside Iran, where many people have been killed, where many more are facing execution because of the brave part they took, taking to the streets and protesting against the most evil regime in the world today, and yet the West remains silent. Well, I condemn that silence. I congratulate Baroness Ashton for appointing Jean de Ruyt as a special envoy with responsibility for Ashraf. But that is not enough. We need action from Washington. We need action from the governments of the European Union. So stop sitting there, governments of Europe. Stop sitting there, President Obama. Get your fingers out and do something to help these people. Thank you.